Welcome to Goal Setting and Success, Session 1. Goal setting is a powerful process for thinking about your ideal future and for motivating yourself to turn your vision of this future into reality. Achievers in all fields and disciplines set goals, and it is not just setting them and creating a plan. Achievers actually work the plan becomes a living thing. Research has proven that those with goals written down achieve more, and it has also proven that specific, challenging goals boost performance. Only when a person is committed to the goal, has the necessary ability to achieve it, and does not have conflicting goals. There is a positive direct relationship between goal difficulty and task performance. The bad news, and I personally wish it were to be different, is that it is not quite that simple. The skill of creating goals and orchestrating the process of achieving them is an art form. The good news is that we can all do it, and it is a skill that can be learnt, practiced, and mastered. For decades, goal setting has been promoted as the pill for improving individual, employee, and organisational motivation for performance. But rather than being an over-the-counter remedy for boosting performance, goal setting should be prescribed selectively, should be well presented, closely monitored, and most importantly, reviewed and evaluated. The process of setting goals helps you to choose where you want to go in your life. It will allow you to know where to concentrate your efforts. It will allow you to know when you're on track or off track. It will allow you to be clear in your communication. It will allow you to look for and accept opportunities. It will allow you to recognise where you need to acquire knowledge. It will allow you to manage your time and to manage your resources. If you think about being on course to achieve your goal, which is where your written plan helps, and we can talk about how we write the plan in a later session, a plane is off course up to 95% of the time, but with adjustments to get it back on track through sophisticated flight systems, they arrive at their prescribed destination. So part of thinking about writing a plan to achieve our goals is about recognising when we're slightly off track and patting ourselves back on. But let's start to really think about, how do you identify what it is you want to achieve with your goals? So let me ask you the question, what is it you want? What do you really want? And that can be any area of your life. Financial, health, relationships, career, hobbies, change, wealth, property, holidays, business, writing a book, life in general, and so much more. Comparing what you want with what do you need gives you the area that you will be working on. So what you need will more than likely be very different to what you want. And somewhere in between that, what you need versus what you want, there will be a why. So why do you want whatever it is you want? And your why becomes your driver. And your driver is the thing that will keep you on track or off track. So let me explain just a little bit more. Your driver is your motivation. And a definition of motivation that I've been using for a number of years now, in fact a couple of decades, is this. It's a conscious or unconscious driving force that arouses and directs action towards the achievement of a desired goal. So when you start to think about this, conscious or unconscious, sometimes we know what it is and sometimes we don't. Sometimes we know why we do things and sometimes we don't. Sometimes we know why we want something and sometimes we don't. And this motivation will keep us on track or off track. So let's start to think about what we want. So what do you want? And when we're thinking about goals, we need to be as specific as we possibly can be about what we want. So if we're looking for wealth, how much do we want and by when do we want it by? Do we want £1 million by the end of the year, or do we want £1,000 a month? Everybody's goals will be very different, and I'll encourage you all to create your own goals rather than compare to other people. If you want the car, is it a Maserati or a Lamborghini, or is it a 1.4 Ford Focus, or anywhere in between? What colour? How many doors? If you're looking at buying a house, what house do you want? Do you want the 4, 5, 10 bed with the maid and the butler, or do you want a 2 up, 2 down? Are you looking to create an art collection of some description, or to collect antiques or watches? In fact, anything. Or are you looking to make a difference to the world? Do you want to give back? And again, do you want to raise money for a charity, or do you want to give your time to a charity, so volunteer? Would that be in the UK, or will it be abroad? Be as specific as you can about what you want to do. If it's travelling, where do you want to go? When do you want to go there? And how long do you want to spend there? And it could be your health and fitness. But again, what is it you want to do? What do you want to achieve? And it could be family. And that bit, whether that be having a family, looking after your family, being in a relationship, seeing your parents, your brothers, your sisters, your aunts, your uncles, your grandparents. First is, what do you need? And this is interesting. If we're setting goals to change something, to be able to do something or gain something that we've not got now, we are talking about change. And sometimes we may go backwards to go forwards, and I'll explain more about that in just a second. But what is it you really need? And this will be very different to what you actually want, and it may be very different to what you've already got. If you're you on your own, you will need a roof over your house, over your head, we all do. But what sort of roof do you need over your head, and is it the one that you've got now? Can you downsize to create something bigger for the future? If you have a family already, the roof over your house, your head, needs to be secure. So your home, whatever that might look like, needs to be provided for you and your family. We all need to eat. But do we need to eat T-bone steaks 6 days a week? Or could we reduce our eating to pork chops twice a week? I'm making the point here about what you do now can change to allow you to increase what you want to do for the future. And transport, we all need it. Whatever it is that our goal is, we're going to need transport of some description. And whether that be the car that's sitting out in the drive now, or do we start to use public transport? Do we get on a push bike or a motorbike? But start to think about, what do you need versus potentially what you have already to enable you to get to your goal of what you want. And money. We all need money to live, goes without doubt. Bartering is becoming part of the entrepreneurial journey, so exchanging services one for another, but we still need money. And do you need as much money as you're earning, or you're you've got now to get to where you want to go. Start to think about the time that you've got. So we're now, and how far do you want to get, and when do you want to get to where you want to go in the future? One thing about time is that you can't save it, you can't store it, and once it's gone you can't get it back. Some people move mountains in a minute and others take a year to move a mountain. But think about your future and think about when do you want to achieve whatever it is you're aiming to achieve by. Is it a month? Is it a year? Is it 3 years? Is it 5 years? We'll look at strategic planning and long-term goals and visions in session 2. So to really start to think about what do you want, when do you want it by, and how do you break it down to get to where you want to be. And let's get real, and I'll leave you with this thought in your mind before we get into session 2. So take a few minutes. If you're going to do session 2 immediately, fine. And if you're going to do session 2 next week, really start to think about what do you want, and we can look at that next session, and I can get you to really start to break down what it is, and I'll give you some wonderful examples. But on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you want your goal? The higher up you are the scale, the more you want it, the greater you'll be motivated to achieve it. The lower down the scale, the less likely you are to achieve the goal, or the longer it will take you, the more distractions will possibly appear. So really think about how much do you want your goal, because this is your driver. And how much are you willing to give up for it? Give you an example. So if you're living in a house on your own, or even with a family, and you want to do something very different, would you be willing to give up a spare room in your house to a lodger to earn some money that would then allow you to potentially give up your job or free up some time to do what it is you really want? Are you willing to give up watching the soap operas of an evening, if that's what you do? Are you willing to give up your Saturday morning to write your book, view properties, go to the gym? Start to think about what you're willing to give up. And then how much are you willing to change? If we're looking to achieve greater goals in life, something around us will change. Whether it be our behaviours, whether it be the friends we see, whether it be the time we spend with somebody, whether it be mowing the lawn on a Saturday morning versus reading a book or listening to a webinar, something will change. And this is where we start to look at our behaviours. We have our goal, whatever our goal is. And within that, we will stop doing certain things, we will continue doing other things, and we will start new things. So it may be that you stop going out 2 nights a week with your friends to attend a networking meeting. It might be that you stop sitting in front of the telly to watch Coronation Street or EastEnders or Jeremy Kyle. It might be that you continue listening to a webinar on a Monday and a Thursday. It might be that you continue to work for a year or 2 more before you give up your job. It may be that you continue to read 1 personal development book a month. And start. What are you going to start? It may be that you start running for 15 minutes a day. It may be that you start to stand up and introduce yourself at networking meetings. It may be that you start telling all your friends and family about your dreams, which you may have kept hidden. I'm going to say thank you for listening to session 1. we're sort of at 15 minutes, which I'll try and keep, well, I will keep all the sessions to. I look forward to meeting you again in session 2, and we can really start to nail down about how you break your goals down and how you generate a plan to move you forward. Once again, thanks for listening, and I look forward to seeing you in session 2.